over 30 years, William Proxmire was a major figure in Wisconsin politics.
Denied the governorship 3 times, he shocked everyone by winning a special election in 1957 to replace the late Senator Joe McCarthy, and went on to win re-election 6 times. Now, in what's billed the first comprehensive biography of Proxmire, historian Jonathan Kasparek recalls the late senator in Proxmire, Bulldog of the Senate. Jonathan, congratulations on the book and welcome to Live at 4. What was your inspiration for writing this book?
The inspiration, I think, really comes from Ellen Proxmire. She was very determined to preserve his legacy, and she organized an oral history project that interviewed dozens of people who knew him, and family members and colleagues in the Senate, and his papers were opened at the Historical Society, so there was an abundance of wonderful material to draw on.
It's surprising to me that this is the first biography, such a major political figure in this state. He
is, and it is exciting to be the first sort of attempt to do this.
So he's called the Bulldog of the Senate. Why did he have that reputation?
He was tenacious. The best example of this is his almost single-handed urging the Senate to ratify the anti-genocide treaty. This had been delayed since 1949 when President Truman offered it to the Senate. 1967, Proxmire decides this is what I'm going to do, and he gave a speech on the floor of the Senate every day until it was ratified in 1987. Over 3,200 speeches.
Wow.
Everyone was different.
Really?
His is a remarkable story because he had little to no political experience when he started, and he became such a monumental figure in state politics. What was the secret to his success?
He wanted to meet people. I mean, probably his most famous for his campaigning. He went door to door. His first assembly race, he beat an incumbent basically by going to every house, followed up with a phone call or a postcard. And when he won the nomination, he won election, he decided he was going to run for governor.
And he spent no money campaigning, is that right?
Later on, and he spent money in his first few campaigns, but by 1976, he was so well known and so well liked, all he did was file his nomination papers, got his name on the ballot, and he won 70% of the vote.
And is it true that he used to walk the entire state when he was running for office?
He was a fitness buff, so yes, he was very much into exercise and decided that in the winter of 72, 73, he walked about 1,200 miles in stages and met people in small towns, stopped at shopping centers, stopped outside factory gates, and said hello.
He's pretty well known for his Golden Fleece Awards.
Oh, yeah.
Yes.
To remind viewers what they were.
The Golden Fleece are wonderful. He picked on projects that the government spent money on that they probably shouldn't have spent money on. My favorite is a report that the Army commissioned that cost $6,000. It was a 17-page report on how to purchase Worcestershire sauce.
That took 17 pages.
70 pages and $6,000.
How do you think he would fare in today's Washington?
I think he would be a little uncomfortable. The idea of deliberately trying to go out and meet people as much as possible seems to have faded a little bit from politics. And he was particularly eager to meet people who disagreed with him, right? Mm-hmm. Now, he didn't just speak to people who were going to say yes and applaud. He wanted to hear contrary opinions, and he wanted to argue and debate.
He was a Democrat, but he crossed the aisle a lot.
He did. He actually supported a lot of Reagan's program in the early 80s. So he became a little bit unpopular among the Democrats later on. But he's an independent.
And he eventually had retired. He suffered from Alzheimer's?
He did. He started recognizing the symptoms in the mid-'80s and decided he was not going to stick around if he couldn't do his job.
So was this, his tenure the end of an era, do you think? Do you think a Bill Proxmire could, as Mark was saying, could exist today?
Oh, I hope so. That would be wonderful to have that kind of dedicated, determined servant around.
Yeah, I've sort of missed that in some areas now. Mm-hmm. Interesting. I'm glad you wrote the book. I think a lot of people need to know more about Bill Proxmire and what he meant to this state.
Oh, I agree.
And you're a Wisconsin native, so
yes.
and you as well.
Oh yeah,
growing up with him. So
he's my senator.
Yeah, mine too.
Yeah.
So if you want to hear more about the book and meet the author, Jonathan, you can see him tonight from 6 to 7 at the State Historical Society Museum on the Capitol Square. Doors open at 5:30. Jonathan, thanks.
Congratulations.
Thank you very much.
Looking forward to reading the book. Great to see you.
We'll be right back with a final check of your forecast.